The average daily balance method. Use the average daily balance method to compute the finance charge on the credit card account for the month of August, 31 days. The starting balance from the previous month is $250. The transactions on the account for the month are given in the table to the right. Assume an annual interest rate of 24% on the account and that the billing date is August 1st. The first step with the average daily balance method is to multiply the balance for each transaction by the number of days until the next transaction. To make things simpler, I'm going to create a chart. Here I have a chart with 4 columns. The first column is the transaction column. Here I've listed all of the transactions that were given to me in the problem. The next column is the number of days until the next transaction. The third column is where I'll figure out the balance, and the fourth column is where I'll multiply the number of days times the balance. So my first step is I'm going to look at the first row, which is the balance on August 1st, and I want to figure out the number of days until the next transaction. Well, as you can see, the next transaction is on August 5th. So I have the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th of August until the 5th. So that is 4 days. Now I want to find the balance. And since this is the first row, I'm going to have a balance of my starting balance, which is $250. That was the balance that was carried over from the previous month. So I'll just write $250 in this block. Now I'm going to multiply the number of days, which is 4, times $250, which is the balance. And I get a total of $1,000. Now I'm going to look at the next row. The next transaction is a payment of $87 on August 5th. The transaction after that is August 12th, so I need to calculate the number of days between August 5th and August 12th. I have the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. You do not count the day of the next transaction, so I don't include August 12th in my list. Now I can count the number of days that I listed, and that's 7 days. Now I'll look at the balance. I had a balance of $250, but for this transaction, I made a payment of $87. That means I'll subtract $87. 250 minus 87 is 163. So my new balance is 163. Next, we'll just multiply 7 times 163, and we get an amount of $1,141. We'll continue the process on the third row. I have a charge of $150 on August 12th. And the transaction after that is on August 19th. So I'll include the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th in my list. And if we count those number of days, I have 7 days. Now I want to look at the balance. I had a balance of $163, but since I made a charge of $150, I need to add $150 to this amount. When I add the two values together, I get $313. 7 times 313 gives me an amount of $2,191. Next, I charged $21 on August 19th. And the transaction after that was on August 31st. So I'm going to list the 19th through the 30th. When I count the number of days from the 19th to the 30th, I have 12 days. Now I'll compute the balance. So I had a balance of $313, and since I charged $21, I'm going to add 21. 313 plus 21 is 334. Now I'll multiply 12 times 334. And I get a value of $4,008. Lastly, I charged $28 on August 31st. Now August only has 31 days. So I'll just go to the end of the month, and since I made a charge on the last day of the month, this will just be 1 day. And then I charged $28, so I need to add 28 to my balance. 334 plus 28 is 362. Then 1 times 362 is $362. Next, I'm going to add all of the values that I found in the last column of my chart. And I'll do this in my second step. When I add all of those values together, I get $8,702. My third step is to divide the amount in step 2 by the number of days in the month. The amount found in step 2 was $8,702, and there's 31 days in August. So I'll divide that value by 31. This will give me a number of 280.7096774. And I'm going to round to 2 decimal places because this number represents my principal, P. So P equals $280.71. My fourth and final step is to use I equals PRT to compute the finance charge. I'm going to use the principal found in step 3 in this formula. So I have I equals 280.71 times R. The problem tells me that the interest rate was 24%, and I can convert that to a decimal by dividing by 100. So this is 0.24. And T is the number of days in the month, which is 31, divided by the number of days in a year, which is 365. So when you're using the average daily balance method, T is always going to be the number of days in the month that you're given divided by 365. You always use that when using the average daily balance method. Now we're going to go back to our formula and multiply 280.71 times 0.24. When we do that calculation, we get I equals 67.3704 times 31 over 365. We want to use fractions Don't convert 31 over 365 to a decimal. You'll have rounding error. So in order to use the fraction, we'll just do 67.3704 times 31 and then divide that by 365. So 67.3704 times 31 is 2,088.4824. Lastly, we want to divide that value by 365, and we get I equals 5.72186959. I is the amount of interest, or in this case, the finance charge, which is a monetary amount. Therefore, we need to round to the nearest cent, or 2 decimal places. So I equals $5.72, and this is our final answer.